With this new 3D experience platform, we have a lot of new things. As you have noticed, no doubt, this is very much about collaboration and maintaining data integrity across your enterprise, not so much just making the parts here in our part design windows. So things like saving, for example, are a little bit more convoluted than you maybe would imagine them to that they need to be. The other thing is, how do I copy something, make a duplicate of something that I want to take? So that's what we're going to talk about today really quickly. Now, probably the first thing I'm going to need to do is make a part, but I want to talk about some things before we get there. The first thing is where am I? So as soon as you start up 3D Experience, as soon as you start up part design, it automatically makes this construct for you. But I don't really want to start making something here right yet until I'm certain of which collaborative space I need to be in. So now common space is the default one that's for everybody in your enterprise, or everybody that's, whoever you got the licenses for your 3D experience platform. So I'm going to hit the drop down here and I'm going to go to first project, but I want to show you something first. So I'll make a quick little something or another. I just need to have, I don't even need to make it a part, or solid. I just need to have a thing here. And they say, oh crap, oops, I didn't want to be in my common space. I wanted to be in first project. So I go ahead and change it, hit OK, and you get presented with this error saying that you're not allowed to switch collaborative spaces if you haven't saved it. So here's what this means. It means that it starts up with a default product, and you are probably likely not in the collaborative space that you're in. So one, you either have to just close it right off the bat, which, to me is like, why the heck did they start with it? Or save whatever you started working on before you change. Now, if I save it now, I can just hit Control S on my keyboard and it will save, but it is going to be saved as physical product number. This, not this, by the way. And so that becomes a problem. That's another issue. You could probably look inside of my collaborative space here, and you're going to find a whole bunch of products inside there called product 000 this, because it's the myriad of times that I've started working on something and then went, oh, what the hell, I'm in common space. So I go ahead and I save it because I don't want to lose my work, and then I can change the collaborative space to the one that I want and then go through the rest of this story, what I'm going to tell you about how to save it into a different area. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to close this and I'm not going to save it. I'm not going to save it. Then before I even start, I come up here and I change to my first project because that seems like a good enough one to go to. You can have all the ones that you want to name. Now, I could go over here to the menu here and change it, but it's easy enough to come here and say 3D part. So I'll go ahead and do that. And now I want to give it a name. So this is probably straight away you want to burn this into your mind. As soon as you get started, probably do this. Now you need to go to the product. Let me show you a little bit of a story here. You go to the product to name it because that's how you're going to find it in the database online where this is all stored. This is an assembly, and this is kind of messed up, but I understand what they're trying to say here. Everything, for the most part, 98% of the things you look around at on the desk or wherever you're sitting here are multiple pieces or multiple elements, so they're an assembly. And so since CATIA 3D Experience, it's all about working in an enterprise environment, they want you to be building an assembly right from the beginning because that's probably what you're going to be doing, I guess. Now, just to show you, so I'm going to call this part 0002. I don't know why I needed that many zeros, but just in case I got a part 001 already or something. So I hit that, and I just named this part in the tree part 0002. Now I'm going to hit save. I'm messing my folder up. So I just saved it. I hit Control S on the keyboard. This is not how you do this from the beginning, probably. Well, again, all this stuff will get, cleared up by the time we get to the end of this. Now, if I were to look for part 002 inside of my first project, if I went to manage, I'm not going to find it there. Now, I'm not going to quite do it right yet, but the thing I want to tell you about this is even when this works, when we name it properly, it takes about 30 seconds or so to show up, which is very disconcerting. So just remember, you got to wait a little bit. Now, the other thing I can do is I can come up here and I can say part 0002, and I can do a search for it. And it's going to bring up this window, and it's going to tell me 0 results found. Now, this is where I was saying I could wait for a while because I know it takes 30 to 40 seconds for this to work when things do work. But I'll have to say, you try it on your own, or trust me, it's not going to show up. So now what I'll do is I'll come up here to properties, to this, the properties of the physical product, the assembly. There are 2 different workbenches in CATIA, by the way. So one workbench called part design, this is what we are supposedly, well, we are in right now, is for making the individual components of an assembly, like the handles for some scissors. And then there'd be like the blades each side, and then the fastener, and maybe a nut or whatever holds it in place. All those elements will be inside the assembly. So I'm going to come here and I'll name this one part, do I want to say 0003? Yeah, we'll say 003, I guess. And then I'll hit save. Now, when I go to search for this, bear with me. I want to show you this part of it here, 0003. I'll hit enter and I get 0 results. I want to try to keep the camera rolling so you can see that there is nothing up my sleeve. I didn't wait or do something else or go to some other window. If I just keep doing this, right, what's that been, about 10 seconds or so? Wait a little bit more. You keep searching for this and eventually it'll pop up. The reason I say this quite frequently, when you're trying to do a thing and you don't quite know how it's working, if it doesn't show up somewhere where you think it's supposed to, if it doesn't do something that you're expecting it to do, then you move on and you start trying other things. And then it still doesn't work. And so you move on to some other things. Now, maybe the first thing you did was correct, and then you moved on to something else. And now you put it in your mind that all these things you've done so far are incorrect. When eventually, if it did show up by you just waiting, that if you knew this, then you could just sit back and count some seconds and then go check it out. And then you could start to build some trust in the fact that it does actually eventually work, okay? Okay, well, it took a fair amount more time than 30 seconds. At least it felt like it to me. So now look at this. Part 003 is finally here. It finally shows up. So if I go here into search, there we go. Okay. So do you see what I'm talking about? You could definitely start messing things up in hopes of trying to fix it. So just know, sit back, wait for however long the hell that was, and it should show up. So let's go ahead and make something. So I'll just go to Sketch. I'll just make a disk. And defaults are fine. Okay, so here's our disk, part 003, and then I save this. Okay, so that's the first part of this. This is the first bit of information that I want you to understand. Now the next part is, what if I did do this in the wrong area, the wrong collaborative space? Or another thing I do, the thing that we're doing here with all of our courses is that I or somebody else will have these parts that we need people to look at, and we want to have somebody else copy it so that they can mess with it. In an enterprise, that would not be the case, because you don't want people just messing things up, and you don't want to have massive amounts of duplicates. You don't want to have any duplicates of apart throughout the company on different people's computer or different people's work area, collaborative spaces, because now you've lost all control of the data. You don't know which part is the newest, the oldest, and which one's got which revision on it, okay? But for the sake of making, for example, me making a part and saving it in kind of a, master directory, if you will, people can then copy it out of this and take their own into their folder and then do with it whatever they want. So here's what we're going to do. Now, I'm in first project here, and I don't want to mess any of these up. So what I'm going to do is go quickly make a new collaborative space. So I'll go to Manage. So if I go to here, New Collaborative Space, that's how you do this. I think I will just call this Test Directory because I'm being super creative. And give it a moment. There it is. And if I come up here, you may or may not see test or your directory collaborative space show up immediately. So just again, give it some time. I've also seen that you bounce into one and come back out and then it wakes up and refreshes. Of course, if you just restart, then it will come back to restart this, not your whole computer. So now let's say I was working away on this and just to make a change, just to show you. So I go here, I made a fillet on there. And then I want to change over. It's going to remind you that, oops, you got to save it. So, okay, so I go ahead and I give it a save. Now I can change over to my test directory and just leave everything as its default. Now that I'm in test directory, if I make a change, let me show you this. If I make a change, it is not going to save it in your new collaborative space that you're at right now. Kind of weird. So if I just hit Control S to save it, what just happened was it saved it back to the original directory where in first project. So now I could show you that it's not there, but if it was going to go there, I would have to talk again to you for about another 40 seconds or so before it shows up. And we probably don't want to hear me do that. So over here, let's see, maybe it'll wake up here and under first project, you'll see the change, right? But let's see, let's get into here. And there's nothing there. Now, if it was, like I said, if it was going to go there, we still wouldn't see it. Now, if I go to first project, maybe the icon will have updated right there. You see part 003, it has the little pad on top. That, I did that and I saved it while I was in this test directory, right? Okay, so it's not going to go into the test directory. So here is what we need to do. Make all your changes or get the part open, whatever the case may be, and you change over to the directory that you want it to go to, and then you come up here to what looks like the share, it's kind of a share icon, right? Which, sure enough, that's there, but save is also under here. Don't just hit save because that's the same as Control S. Go here and hit save with options. Then here it says, here's the part, name, in work, yep. And it is in the collaborative space first project. So that's kind of your clue of what's going on. So then I right click on this and then I say save selected as new. And this pops up for duplication string. I just leave it blank. If there's anything in there, I wipe it out and just hit OK. And it's going to make a copy. It's not moving it. It's going to make a copy to be saved. It still says first project, but watch. So we hit this. Wait for a minute. Then, if I were to go back to save with options, I'm not going to actually save it. I just want to look at the window. Now it says part 003 is in the collaborative space test directory. So now I come up here, I go to manage, and I should be able to see it. I don't know why I had the server error there. Did the internet die? Yeah, something's not working so well all of a sudden. Oh, wow. Okay. Okay. Well, that was a little bit irritating. The server over at Dassault was down, It's probably been about 30 minutes. Probably took about 20, 30 minutes. And that's what the error 500 was. I tried to log in and out and back and forth, and nothing happened. Check your email, every so often just to make sure, there wasn't an update, because they do that. They update the platform from time to time and they shut everything down, but they let you know. But there's no email. So, anyways, we are back and everything seems to be working. So now we can come up here to manage, and we should, in our test directory that we made, we should be able to see our part. Okay, so there is part 003. That's this right here, not this. So what I'm going to do, since that was a little bit of a kind of a disruption there for me and a lot of conversation for you along the way, I'm going to do it one more time, but just straight on through. So I have a place called First Project. It doesn't really matter what it is, but it's a place where we store stuff, let's say. And you need to copy something from there to your test directory. So I'm in First Project, and I'm going to go ahead and make another new part. So I come over here to the product straight away, and I give it a name. And I'm going to call this test part 1 word 01. And we'll go to this plane, that plane, sure, why not? And we'll make a circle over there, and we'll extrude it out something like that, right? It's not very exciting. And then we'll go ahead and save it. So I'm just hitting Control S on the keyboard, no save with options yet. So that part's done. Now I can close this down if I like. Now we'll come up here and we'll go to Manage, and we'll make sure that the part is there. Okay, so it's been about 30 seconds, and I just kept hitting refresh, and then finally test part 01 pops up here. Now notice we have the cube representation. So if I hit refresh, again, we still have the cube. It'll take a little bit longer for the actual visual representation of it to show up as well, but it is there. Now, when you want to open the part up, if you know its name, it's easiest to do the search from the in-application window here. If you find it here and you want to open it, there's the representation now. You have to remember, you can't hit the thing here and say open with anything here. You're going to hit this checkbox right there. And when you hit the checkbox, you're saying, I would like to open that, and then you come over here and say which app you would like to open it up with. So that is a little bit more complication. I didn't perceive that I was going to have to explain that, but I just realized that you're not going to know the name of the item that you're probably looking for specifically. So you're going to go try to find it here under the collaborative spaces. So after you've done that, then you're going to get the part that we just made. So here's the test part 01. Okay, now I can change over to my test directory. Okay, and it's test part 01. If I go back to here into my collaborative spaces under test directory, we will see we only have the one part there, right? So you can refresh all day long. It's not going to show up there because we saved it in the other collaborative space. So now I will come up here and I will hit Save with Options, right click on this, Save Selected as New, no name there for now, we don't care about that. Hit OK. It was in First Project, it will now be in Test Directory. And you don't have to hit Save, it should have done that already. You see it says nothing to save. And so then when I come back over here, I'll hit Refresh, and we're back to, wait a little bit. Okay, and there it is. So now we know how to copy a part from one collaborative space to another. Now, when you go ahead and work on this part here, after you did that, if you want, you could close it down and open it again, but you are safe to make changes here, and it will be on your model in your collaborative space, not in the original directory. So we'll go ahead and we'll prove that out for a second. So we'll go here and let's make it something really obvious, 200. So we've got a big pad coming out of there, okay? So I'll hit Control S, Go back over here and, hit refresh. It's going to wake up, but it's going to be the wrong iteration. So again, give it, I think it's been more like 40 or 50 seconds now it takes for it to wake up. And there we go. That was not too bad. I think that was probably only 20 seconds or so. So this is the representation of the part in the test directory collaborative space. If I go back here and I go to first project, look in here, test part 01 down there is still the same as it was. So that is the process. It's convoluted, but I think you'll find it'll be okay once you get used to going through the motions and get used to just waiting a period of time for the thing to show up. If it doesn't show up after, say, a minute, maybe a minute and a half, I have never seen it take that long before, then maybe question whether or not you did something wrong before you start trying other things.